your free Spanish lesson. My name is Ingrid Jackson and I am your Spanish instructor. Alright guys, now for this week and next week what we're going to do is we're going to go over everything that you've learned so far from week 1 up until now. The reason why I'm doing that is to make sure that you have understood everything. Now, this doesn't mean that this lesson is going to cover it all. You still have to go back to those lessons for more in-depth explanation of things. However, I do strongly suggest that if you have not started from week 1 up until now, that you do so before proceeding. Otherwise, you will not be able to understand what's going to happen from here on. We're going to tackle many things, such as past, present, and future tense. The whole spectrum. It's going to get heavier, and it is very important that you learn all that stuff before we move on. Okay. Now, before we start today, we're going to go over your homework as we do every week, and then we'll commence with going over everything that you've learned so far. All right? So, for your homework, what I did is I gave you colors. And here are the words that I gave you for last week. Amarillo. Amarillo means yellow. Verde. Verde means green. Rojo. Rojo means red. Azul. Azul means blue. Blanco. Blanco means white. Negro. Negro means black. Carmelita. Carmelita means brown. Violeta. Violeta means violet. And those were the words that I gave you for last week. All right, now we're about to go over everything that you've learned so far from week 1. Now, we're going to go over some of it today and the rest of it next week. Let's get started. So far, you have learned that in Spanish, the vowels will always sound flat. Always. You know how in English the vowels sound a, e, I, o, u, and then there is the long sound which is a, e, I, o, u. That doesn't happen in Spanish. They're always flat no matter what. So they're always going to sound like a, e, I, o, u. Now, you also learned that in Spanish, we refer to people, animals, and things as feminine or masculine. Okay? Nothing is an it or a the. It's a he or a she. Okay? Let me give you a couple of explanations, a couple of examples, so you can actually understand what I'm saying here. We went over, for example, the word perro, which means dog, but that's a male dog. And then there is perra, which is a female dog. Or conejo, which is a male rabbit. Or coneja, which is a female rabbit. Now, one of the tricks that I taught you was that if the word ends with an O, you will most likely say 90-95% of the time, you will refer to it as a masculine if it ends with an O. If it ends with an A, or the last vowel in the word is an A, you will refer to it as feminine. So that was a good trick to teach you. That doesn't mean that every word in Spanish ends with an A or an O, but most of them do, or quite a lot. So it's very rare that you will come across a word that does not. if you do, then once you have the basics down, you'll be able to figure out things as you go along. And we're going to address all those things as we go along as well. Um, so again, if the word ends with an O, you will refer to it as masculine. If it ends with an A, you will refer to it as feminine. Okay? Now, you may be asking, well, how? Well, hopefully you're not asking that because that means you didn't see the lesson. But how do you refer to things as feminine and masculine? Well, la perra means the dog, female, as you know. La perra. And then you have el perro for a male dog. So it's el, perro for male anything, and el for male anything, not perro, and la for female. Okay, so it's el for male and la for female. Okay, so for example, if you were to say the chair in Spanish, you would say la silla. Okay, and if it's soap, for example, jabón, el jabón, because the last vowel is an O. See, that's how that goes. Okay, now another thing that you learned was how to pluralize words in Spanish. Now, a trick that I taught you was that if the word ends with a vowel, all you have to do is add an S at the end of it, and that will pluralize that word. For example, pato. Pato means one duck. If you want to pluralize that, then you're going to say patos, which means ducks. Okay? So again, if the word ends with a vowel, all you do is add an S. I'm going to give you a couple of more examples so you understand. Perro, perros. Camisa, camisas. Computadora, computadoras. So as you can see, it is very simple. If you want to pluralize a word, if it ends with a vowel, all you do is add an S to it. Now, what happens to words that end with a consonant? Simple. All you do is add an ES at the end of the word. And here's some examples. Animal, animales. Tenedor, tenedores. See? Animal for one animal. Tenedor for one fork. You want to pluralize that, add ES at the end of it, and now you have many animales and tenedores. Now, the only time, or one of the times that that's not going to apply is if the word ends with a Z. Okay? Now, if the word ends with a Z, to pluralize it, all you're going to do is replace take away the Z, and then you're going to add CES at the end of the word. And I'm going to give you some examples so you understand what I'm saying here. Let's do, for example, nariz. Nariz ends with a Z. Nariz. Now, if you want to talk about several narices, then what you would do is you take away the Z and then you add CES at the end of the word once you've taken the Z away. And that's how you pluralize that. So it's very simple. Ends with a vowel, add an S at the end of it. Ends with a consonant, add ES at the end of it. Ends with a Z, take away the Z, and add CES to the word, the end of the word. And there you go, how to pluralize in Spanish. You have also learned that in Spanish there are letters in the alphabet that simply do not exist in the alphabet in English. And I'm going to give you a couple of them. For example, the double L, which comes right after the L in the alphabet, and double L is doble L. Double L. Doble L. And then we have the ñ, which comes right after the N in the alphabet. And I'm going to give you a word with the ñ so you can see, hear how it sounds and, how it goes. Anyway, the word is caña. Caña. And its meaning, it's on the screen as well. And I'm going to give you one with the double L. Lluvia. Lluvia. Okay. Now, you've also learned that the exclamation points as well as the question marks in Spanish not only go at the end of a sentence, but also at the beginning of a sentence. And they look kind of inverted. And I'm going to give you an example here on the screen so you can see what that looks like. Okay. Now, you also learned that in Spanish, the H is silent and the J sounds like the H does in English. For example, H in English sounds like hot dog, right? In Spanish, it doesn't even exist, and it doesn't matter where it falls, at the beginning, middle, or end of a word, it just simply does not exist. Okay? However, the J sounds like in Spanish, and I'm going to give you an example. The word juice in English, in Spanish is jugo. Jugo. Okay. Now that sums up today's lesson, and I hope that you have been able to understand, grasp everything that we've learned so far. Again, I strongly suggest that you refer to the previous lessons so you can get a more in-depth explanation of what we just went through. Now, I'm not going to give you any homework for this week, and next week we're going to go over the rest of everything else that you've learned during this past 8 lessons. I hope you have a wonderful week. I can't wait to see you next week. Thank you for visiting me again. And until then, I want to wish you lots of buena suerte and take care. Some of you may be wondering what has happened to my hair. And, some of you know that Monday is my birthday, and I don't know if I'm having like a midlife crisis or what have you. I went to the store and I bought this box of hair dye, and I was I was going for blonde. Well, as you know, my hair was very black. When I finished, when I washed my hair and I saw my hair, it was like 20 different colors all over the place. It looked weird, just weird. It looked like Carrot Top after like a hurricane. Well, yeah. Anyway, so I had made arrangements to help a friend. Her name is Carolyn O'Connell. She's actually a lead singer at a group with a group here. The name of the group is Facets. They're great. But anyway, I had made arrangements with her to go help them because they were going to have a garage sale. So I go to her house and she sees my hair in the first. Now, please understand, I had everything like totally picked up and it was like all tight. I just didn't want anyone to see my hair, and I didn't want to back out from helping them because I had already, committed to it. So I got there and she just looked at me and went, "Oh, what did you do?" type of thing. So I was like, "Oh my God." And I explained to her what a nightmare, a total ordeal. Look at my hair. It looks ridiculous. So she's like, "Oh my God, I can fix it for you." I'm like, "Okay." Well, you guys know my personality. So my friends are all like I am, you know, and I won't have it any other way. We're all nuts, right? And I love it. So anyway, she's like, "Well, I'll help you. I'll fix it." So she goes inside, right? I'm like, "Okay, well, perfect. I'm wandering, whatever." So she comes back. I'm thinking we're going to do this inside. She's going to dye my hair, something like that. So she comes back with like sticks that look like this, whatever they are. I'm going to cover the brand and whatever, and a thing with water and a bunch of other stuff. It looked like a mad scientist getting ready to do something. I was so scared. So next thing I know, I'm sitting on this chair in the garage, okay? And mind you, the two doors were open, the two doors for the garage. There's people out there. Next thing I know, she takes a clip of my hair. My hair is very curly. So, I hadn't done anything to it. I washed it. I saw the nightmare, and I just picked it up. Next thing I know, the clip is off my hair. My hair's like poof. And I'm looking at all these people, mind you, poof with like a rainbow going on here, okay? So I'm looking at all these people, and my hair is like this. I didn't know what to do. I'm sitting there in the middle of everything, and she's doing this whole thing with the hair. Oh my God, this lady sits there and she goes, she spoke in Spanish. I don't know if she knew well, of course she didn't. She didn't know me. But she sat there and she goes, "Mina, they do hair here too." Meaning, like, look, they also do hair. I was so embarrassed. You guys have no idea. But she saved me, and thanks to what she did and her math science experiment that she did, whatever, it turned out like this. This is washable. I don't know what she did. It worked. My hair under this is like a total freaking nightmare. Okay. So, needless to say, next week I'll be back to my black hair. She did say that she was going to do it this way permanently because she likes the color and all this other stuff. But let me tell you, if she's not knocking on my door by tomorrow morning, 8 a.m., it's not happening. I'm getting my hair dyed and it's going back to black. But anyway, I just wanted you guys to know the nightmare that I'm going through, that I went through with my hair and dyeing it. I thought it was funny and I wanted to share that story with you. I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.